First person this week brings Mayor Dennis Williams back to our first studios. And Mayor, you've had a busy 3 months. Does it feel like it's just been 3 months? Has it gone by quick?
It's going very quick. 3 months, it has seemed like 3 months, but sometimes I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but I just hold on and get the job done.
Well, Mayor, let's talk about the state of the city's economy. You recently called for an audit. What are you hoping to find?
Well, we've seen some red flags. You know, sometimes when you see red flags, there's smoke, there's fire. We just want to ensure to make sure that everything is being done properly and we don't have any situation. And when I talk about situation, I want to make sure that there's no criminal activity, and if there is, it will be dealt with. Okay.
Well, your budget calls for no tax increases, so that's definitely a good thing. But some other fees are going up. Do you think, and I'm talking about water and sewer, but do you think that's actually enough to just hold the city down until next fiscal year?
Well, you know, sometimes you have to make decisions, and tough decisions, and I made a decision not to raise taxes because I do believe that if you spend very thrifty for the next 12 months to the next budget cycle, you should look at contracts, duplications that you have all over the city, things that you've outsourced that you can bring back in. There's ways to find and save money, but you just have to be strong and have enough gumption to go ahead and eliminate those contracts. Some of those contracts have been political paybacks, and as I stated all during the campaign, I don't know anybody anything, and I'm not doing any political paybacks, not working in the Williams administration.
Something else you talked about during the campaign, meeting with city residents, businesses. This week you've just kind of finished the first round of those meetings. Do you think people are hearing your message, and I guess it's more about you hearing from the people? What kind of feedback are you getting?
Well, we've gotten some excellent feedback. The only one problem we ran into on the north side of Wilmington was some public works issues, but we can rectify that, about trash cans being moved. Some houses don't have the alleyway, and some of the trash cans, they were expecting people to move through their homes or take them down to the end of the block and bringing them around. But we're going to work that out also. Another one, we've gotten some accolades on the crime situation that we're taking care of. We've done some great things. Our police department is aggressive. They're out there making arrests. They're seizing guns. They're seizing narcotics. They're seizing the illegal cash. Overall, I think we're doing okay. And then some issues came up about some things with the previous administration, such as wick and pack and a few other things, but we have to work on those things. You know, we inherited some things, and we're not going to cry foul. We're just going to go ahead and work and clean it up. That's our job now. We are the stakeholders and the keys to the city, and we're going to rectify things that were done in the past that may have, you know, not been done intentionally, but we will clean it up.
You mentioned the crime plan. Now let's get into that a little bit. We've certainly seen an increase here in the newsroom in arrests that police are announcing, this arrest for this amount of heroin. It really has picked up in the amount of arrests that police are reporting to us. How has that been accomplished? Is there any sort of numbers as the increase in arrests, or how has the crime plan been going?
Well, it's been going very well. I gave my officers and the chief directives to aggressively police our streets. We're going to stop vehicles. We're going to stop people on the street legally with the Fourth Amendment. All my officers know the United States Constitution. We're going to have people that call us in and give us descriptions of neighborhoods that have been high drug areas and gun areas. We're getting calls. Once you get a call and the person says, you know, this guy has a black jacket on, blue pants, black hat, your probable cause is right there because you have a person that called in and made the complaint. We have a right to stop, detain, ask what you're doing here, produce identification. And if you produce identification, we have a right to run you through the system. And the officer has a right to search in the immediate lunge area for the officer's safety. At that point in time, when we start searching your body and we find narcotics and firearms, you're under arrest. So it's working very well. And it's disruption, what we call it. We're sending our officers out to go out and confront these folks, and you know, we're stopping vehicles, tail light out, it's probable cause. You make a wrong turn, it's probable cause. You run a stop sign, it's probable cause. If you have a trunk full of heroin and guns, that's your problem.
Have you seen also an increase in people willing to help out and call the police and say, hey, this guy's standing on the corner, or I saw this? People sort of stepping up more with tips to police?
Absolutely, and I think it's because our police department is being more friendly. Our officers are winding the windows down. They're talking to people. They're communicating with people. My administration is on the street. I'm on the street. We walk through bad neighborhoods that are rough, that we're going to turn around, and these neighborhoods will be safe again. And I think it's our outreach, what we told people, we will protect you if you make a complaint. And we start arresting these folks. You know, we're not going to be held hostage for gangsters. Yeah, people who want to tell people you better not call the police or we're going to do something to you. Well, guess what? We're going to get you first and get you locked up so people can go ahead and live peaceful and talk about things going on in their community. No one in this city has a right to be intimidating our people, our citizens in the city, and this administration is not going to tolerate it. I put legislation in with witness protection, witness interference, people threatening victims. You know, we're going to deal with this.
And Mayor, you also, not to cut you off, Mark, but you also mentioned on Monday that you're receiving more calls from neighborhoods you normally wouldn't.
Yes.
Can you share that? Share what neighborhoods? Well,
South Rodney Street, Bennett Street, Lamont Street. People now feel very comfortable in calling the police, and we even get calls in the mayor's office. And we funnel them down to the police department. We send them out. I had a person call me personally on my cell phone, gave me 8 locations where they're dealing narcotics in the Northeast Wilmington. These are people that are very concerned about their community. They want to cooperate. They want to be helpful to this administration, and they want their city back. There's folks that live in this city that are good people. They can't afford to move and go anywhere else, but they're decent, honest, hardworking, good people. And they have a right to live in peace. They truly do.
Newcastle County Executive Tom Gordon was very excited to announce sort of a cooperative effort between Wilmington Police, Newcastle County Police, where each would be sworn in as the other's officers. You're quick to point out that that's not a metropolitan police force. Explain the difference for people who may not. It seems like that's what it is, that this is sort of a metropolitan police force because now Wilmington officers will be sworn in as county officers and vice versa. How is it different?
Well, that's going to take place starting tomorrow, I do believe. You'll have cross-jurisdictional boundaries where you can go. Years ago, they did it when I was on the police force. When I graduated from the police academy, I was sworn in as a Newcastle County police officer as well as a Wilmington police officer. A metropolitan police force is when one jurisdiction gives up all its control. Say, for instance, if the county gave its control up to us and it became Wilmington Metropolitan, the county police force would be under me, the mayor of Wilmington, and the city council. That's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen the other way around. We are going to share each other's resources and help each other. You know, criminals don't fight over where the imaginary line is and who's going to deal drugs here or who's going to shoot people in this location. We have to become a united force to fight crime. It's fighting smarter. It's helping each other with each other's resources. We can do things that when we merge our police departments together on paper now, okay? And I say we're Metro and the county exec says we're Metro, we can go over the line and start doing things. Say, for instance, there's an area right now on Route 9 where the county police have so much trouble. If there was a major situation out there, our units could go out and assist those county police officers. They may have the closest car may be in Odessa, but the Southbridge units, which are in the south of Wilmington, we could send 4 officers that could get to them in 4 or 5 minutes instead of for them waiting for 28 minutes to get back up. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this. Vice versa, we could have a real bad night where things are really going haywire in the city of Wilmington, and our officers could call for assistance in Southbridge, but we may be dealing with Northeast Wilmington, Central Wilmington, and West Wilmington, where our units are tied up. Then we may have to depend on the county police to come in and help us. Just like when Officer Wilkers was shot, the county police sent 10 officers into the city right away and started answering calls for service.
Let's talk guns. There's a proposal that will pretty much allow Wilmington to set up its own gun regulations. What do you think about that?
Don't need it. The state already has gun regulations. It's reinventing the wheel. I'm not a big supporter of that, but whoever wants to put the legislation in, they have a right to do that. They're elected. I mean, what more are you going to do?
Will we ever see, or do you think it's possible to ban assault weapons, those dangerous assault weapons, and large ammunitions, large magazines rather, statewide?
Well, the NRA has a major grip on people, and it's going to be very difficult to defeat them. They put millions of dollars out into legislatures and councils all over this nation every year. And then everybody starts going back to the Constitution. You know, they still think we're fighting a revolutionary war to right to bear arms. So it's going to be a big problem in Washington, D.C., and all the states can do and the cities can do, especially the cities. We have to sit on the sideline and wait and see what the other guys are going to do down in D.C. and Dover. We have no control over that, and I'm not going to pull my hair out what little bit I have left trying to fight that legislation because I know it's going to be very difficult. My emphasis is going to be on fighting crime, what we have now. There's laws on the books now that we can deal with gun problems. I'm not going to berate anybody who wants to put more gun bills out there. My philosophy now is take what you have, go to war, deal with it. And that's what we're going to do. So
like the governor's gun proposals that were announced, I guess, a few months ago now, you support but won't sort of be actively lobbying?
I support, but no, I'm not going to be actively lobbying. I'm going to be in Wilmington doing what I have to do to save this city. Again, we know there have been gun problems in this nation for years. All of a sudden, you know, people are starting to really look at the problems of these guns. Do you know the slaughter of young men and women in our cities throughout this nation? Do you know if this was a foreign country, the United Nations would be acting? Do you know that envoys would be coming together, diplomats, to talk about what a genocide this is? But we act like it's an everyday thing in the United States of America. You go to urban America and you see the number of people. Just about 4 weeks ago, the youngest male shot in Chicago was 9 years old. 9 years old. I mean, United States, think about that.
Last summer, leading up to the September primary, which you won here in the city of Wilmington, we hosted a series of voter forums. And one of the things we asked people was, what are your hopes for the coming election? What are your fears for the coming election? So we'll sort of turn the tables and ask you, as we head 3 months into your administration, for the next 6 months maybe, for the rest of the year, what are your hopes that you can accomplish in that time frame, the next couple of months, and fears for the city?
Well, my hopes are that I stem the tide of this violence. I have to. I have no recourse. That's number one on my agenda. I got to keep these young folks in school. They have to understand that education is a very, very lucrative part of their life. If they don't get an education, they're finished. And I have to worry about this budget cycle. I mean, when we come into this new budget, I want to make sure that I've cut enough and have frozen enough and have been thrifty enough to make sure when we go into next budget cycle, we're going to be okay. There's going to be people that I'm going to ruffle some feathers. Some of the old days where people got these boondoggle project funding, it's not happening under Williams' administration. There's people that think they're going to get contracts. Well, they'll be standing in line until Uncle Sam comes back. They're not getting any contracts. We have to make sure that the taxpayers of this city get a balanced budget, an honest balanced budget, where we can run this city. We can't run the city anymore like it was run years ago. And again, I feel good. I'm the guy that all I owe something to is the voters. Other than that, that's it. My hat's off to the voters. I owe them. And that's who I'm taking my orders from. They're my CEOs. They're my bosses. Not corporate America, not anybody else. The people of this city voted for me and elected me.
You're also focused on the city's youth as
Absolutely.
well. What things are in place to pretty much get them off the streets or just get them in positive
One of the things that we're doing, we've expanded parks and recreation. We're trying to expand the summer job program, take it all the way into December. Start in June, take it into December. But we're looking at tutoring programs in parks and recreations. We hired Sean Allen, who was a young man who dealt with the gun laws and the adjudicated programs dealing with kids carrying firearms. We have him in the streets working. I have a team of people, volunteers, and some retired educators that's going to come in. We're looking at opening the schools up, keeping the schools open for 6 days a week. I have to work with the state on that. The rec center's open. We're opening the swimming pools early. It's going to cost us an additional $60,000. You know, the old saying is, idle time is the devil's workshop. If we keep these kids engaged every day, you know, on Sunday somebody else will have to do it, but we're going to try to do it Monday through Saturday. But if we keep them engaged, keep them working, keep a little bit of money in their pocket, keep them in the programs where they're tired, you know, swimming, basketball, pool, tutorial programs, trips, and with a full-time job, working all summer long, we think we're going to stem the tide of this violence, because once you get these kids away from the drug dealer and the other criminals and not wanting to do ornery things because they have nothing to do, your crime rate will go down. It's a proven fact that will happen. But it's going to take a lot of people. It's going to take money, and I may run into some deficit cycles for doing that, but then I'll have to find the money from somewhere. I'm not going to make excuses because everything costs money. I'd rather keep kids out of prison, keep them on the street doing something right and spending $36,000 a year keeping someone in prison.
All right, Wilmington Mayor Dennis Williams, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming in. We'll look forward to your next visit to First.